Hiya, ladies and gents. To me, yes. History show tonight. No football, but I bet you any money, my special guest every Monday, Anthony Brown, is a big red, and I bet you he'll say something about yesterday. It's a nap. He'll paint it, He'll go out and paint Nunez's 2 goals and Jota's 2 goals. 2 goals. So anyway, it's all history tonight, and it should be good. I hope so anyway. And before I bring the great Anthony on, I just want to go through a couple of messages here. Hang on, where am I? I can never find this little dot, this little, there it is. And Mark Kenny says, "Evening, Frank, hope you're doing okay. I looked up the Northwestern Hotel Lime Street. I'm so glad it's now back to a hotel. What it should be." Yes, I'll talk about that actually. Who designed, excuse me, who designed, I'm sorry about this. Who designed it and everything. I'll talk about that. And Darryl Merry, Frankie, late again. You know why I'm late again? Because you bloody well messaged me. And I had to, anyway. And he says, look, I said, what did I say? No football. And he says, and that's who's coming. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And Charlie Woods, evening, Frank, hope you're well. Thank you, Charlie, yes. And Shane McGowan, a pint for me. And I'm going to bring on my very special guest. Love this man. He's one of the nicest people you can meet, and there he is, Anthony Brown. Evening, Anthony.
Good evening, Frank. What a wonderful, kind introduction there. Thank you.
No, it's not. It's meant, honestly. It's meant, because you are a good friend. Love you. There you are, look.
Good evening, Governor. Good evening, everyone else.
And Mark says, "Hi, Anthony."
Hi, Mark. Good evening.
I've got a surprise for you. Okay. Do you want to see the surprise?
Yeah.
Okay. And even Darryl says, "Evening, Anthony, mate."
Oh, good evening, Darryl.
Here's the surprise.
Oh my gosh.
Valley.
Hello, Valley. Hi. Welcome to sunny Liverpool.
Yeah, I got sick just to get here too. Isn't that great?
Wow.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Hope you're well.
It's brilliant to see you. I've heard so much about you. Oh, wonderful. Not the greatest weather, but hopefully the people and the places will make up for that.
Love you guys. Have a great show, okay? I'll get out of your hair.
Oh, and then Darryl says, "No way, Valley, my love."
Oh.
That's it. And Lynn Ellis says, "Evening, all. Evening, Lynn."
Evening, Lynn.
Baby. Do you know what? I'll tell you what Lynn does, Anthony, and it'll be great for you, and it will really be good for you and Lainey to come along. She has these coach tours, and she hires me, to take them around.
Yeah.
And she has a little group of people. They all love history, put it that way.
Yeah.
And so she gets me. And I show them, obviously, what a show. And it'll be great if you and Lainey. It's always in the warm months, though. It's not in the winter. So it's in the warm months. And you and Lainey would be great coming along.
I know you were talking the other week about one that sounds fascinating, which is kind of around where the castle was and on the tower building.
Yeah. We passed there today. We passed it today. Coming down from the airport there. Francine picked us up, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. She's a wonderful woman. She really is.
So was today the first day in town?
Yes, this afternoon. Yeah.
She's only got in because what has happened, Anthony? She was stranded in Dublin. She flew from Chicago to Dublin, and with the high winds issue, the storm issue, all the flights were cancelled. Anyway, she finally made it today. And that's it. And Zadel says, is Raleigh on tomorrow night? You want to be on tomorrow, don't you?
I'm following whatever the boss tells me. He's the boss. If he wants me to be on, sure, I would do that, of course.
In the director's box.
And Zadel says, Frankie, your face tells a picture. Bloody love you, mate. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Zadel.
Sweet friends.
And he's on tomorrow. Zadel with George Scott, the lost Shankly boy. He's there with us, So, Gary Rigby.
Hi, Gary.
Evening, Frank and guests and viewers.
Evening, Gary.
Hello, viewers. Oh, Benny Hill. Evening, viewers. But anyway, let's carry on with the show, look. Everyone's copping onto this. Frank, you seem to be known as the boss. I'm not the boss. I'm not the boss of anything. That's all.
Don't let him get you.
That's right, boss.
Yeah, oh, look at that. Gary Rigby. Oh, yeah, Benny Hill. Look at this. Tony Barton. Hello, Frankie, Valley, and Anthony. And there's a few pints of Scotch for Valley. Big smile and a thumbs up. How about that? That's lovely, that, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Thank you, Tony.
Thumbs up back.
Look. See you tomorrow, Frankie. Off to take my blue pill, says Darryl Merry. And I have news, Frankie, over COVID now, broken 2 fingers. Oh, that's lovely. And good to have you with us, Valley.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you. I see your name very often, and Frank thinks you're pretty awesome.
Yeah, see.
Yeah,
She's a lovely lady, actually. She really is. And Mark Kinney says, best Benny Hill bit where he runs after the girls. I can't run after girls anymore. Not that I ran after them, I just couldn't run before, man. That's why I was stuck on my own for years. Anyway, I'm going to show a picture here. And it's really good. And look at this. But what I want to say before, anyway, is before we start, I have to thank Gap Painting Services for sponsoring the Frank Carlyle Show. And Gap is absolutely brilliant, really, really brilliant. And there they are, they've just come up. And it's domestic. And if you are an OAP, you need something done quickly. Special discount if you're an NHS worker, and this is the beauty of Gap Painting Services. They look after the likes of the OAPs, they look after the NHS workers, and get them in if you need a job. Please get them in. And Jason's, I've just got a message, so I've got to stop for the time. I'll say it goes off on me. Anyway, see it. I don't know. Unless we've got another. I say with someone calling me the boss. He's just come out with an I boss.
We all know.
But anyway, this is good. Because it really is. And Darryl says, and he drives the fastest milk cart in the West, and he did. Gary Rigby. Remember Benny Hill doing a Chinese man You'd never get away with it now. You're right. You're so right. And there's no way you can talk about Rigsby as well, Rise and Damp. There's no way that could come out today.
No.
There's no way if anyone written the best script and put it up on to these television producers, they just go no, can't say it, no, take it away. Benny Hill, there's no chance Benny Hill would have ever been on the telly. Just because he just says he's a misogynist, he's this, he's that.
Yeah. Well, it's not just film and TV. It's kind of the whole industry of music, and everything has changed. You wouldn't. There's certain bands that we grew up with and made some absolutely brilliant music that wouldn't get a record deal now. No, it's kind of corporatized to the point of margarine.
Yeah, no, you're right. And as Steve Evans says, even in Frankie and Valley, Frank and Valley, Frankie Valley.
Yeah. 4 seasons, and we've got the worst season at the moment.
Oh, well, do you know what? I'd love him. Do you know what? I'd love to do a music show one time. And I'd love Steve to come on because he knows loads about, and you with him, and Derek Shelmadine. You know, the three of you together talking about music, talking about your own brands of music as well, that, you know, you're in your little band, aren't you?
Yeah.
And what you do and everything. And I always remember I went down to see Mike McCartney in an interview. You know, they asked me to go down, so I said, yeah, okay. So remember at the Anglican Cathedral, so we were there. And I was quite surprised. And you got up and you were introduced with the little bands of music playing. I didn't even know.
Well, Mike had asked me to do it by myself, and it was kind of a musical version of This Is Your Life. So he was picking music that was part of his life and growing up. And one of the tracks I was asked to do was a track by the great Fats Waller, which a beautiful, funny song called Your Feet's Too Big. Now, he wanted me to do it by myself, so I rehearsed it by myself. And then I bottled it and said to Mike, listen, Mike, can I bring me 2 bandmates with me? And he said, yeah, of course. Mike is the most wonderful gentleman on the planet.
Yeah, he is.
He just said, yeah, you do what you want. And we did. We turned up and did what we wanted. But in the sound check, it was absolutely surreal. First time I've ever played there. And the acoustics in that cathedral are phenomenal. And it's a tune I grew up with. When I was 9, the album came out, which is the McCartney's first solo album. And on that album, there's a song called Junk, which I always thought to be the most beautiful piece of music. And I vowed sometime I'd carry it around with me, I'd stick it in somewhere. And I was playing that to sound check. And that's where that's what I was playing there. And Mike turned up behind me. I just wanted to play that tune in the cathedral, and I thought, oh, great. I had no idea that Mike was there. And that's a brilliant photograph there. Yeah.
It is. It's a cracker, isn't it? And unbeknownst to you, that was taken.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, you know how I got invited? Shall I tell you how I got invited? I was a judge for street art. I was a judge, and he was my co-judge. So I was going around with him, you know, doing this judging. It was only me and him. All international street pavers artists. Anyway,
Brilliant.
We all went to Maggie Mays. Do you remember Maggie Mays?
Yeah.
Great.
Drink all the scouts.
Yeah. I'm going to bring Valley in there. And
Oh,
we love all the scouts. She'll like that.
yeah.
Anyway, we were in there. I gave a talk, to all these wonderful people. And so did he, obviously. Mike, he was talking about our kids, Anyway, it was really good. And he said about that, the thing, that function at the Anglican.
Yeah.
And he said, "You fancy coming along?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And I went along, and that's why I was so surprised at you, when you got up there and doing this with your little band.
Thinking, oh my God, you let him in. I had a friend of ours who was there, and he said to Elaine, "I thought Tony was getting on stage to set up all the cables for all the groups.
Yeah.
Like a roadie. Well, he's not selling many patents, so give him a job as a roadie, and there he goes."
It just shows you, doesn't it? Really. I just want to go through, if you don't mind, Anthony. These people here. Mark Kenny says, there's many they can't put on now. Love thy neighbour until death us do part.
Yeah.
Gary Rigby says, Leonard Rossiter was from Lawrence Road near mine. Of course he was. Wavertree, yeah. That's right. And he went to the Collegiate in Shaw Street. And I was working at Hope University. Do you ever remember when it went on fire, Anthony, the Collegiate? And it was gutted inside, to be honest. And they wanted to pull it down. And I shot down then to the council. I said, "You can't do that. Why can't we?" I said, "Because do you know the historical significance of there?"
Yeah.
And they never had a clue. They just didn't have a clue. And I said, "The fella who designed and built it also designed and built the St. George's Hall." I said, "While he was here building that, Harvey Lonsdale Elms, there was a competition for everyone, all the great architects, to build a hall suitable for Liverpool. And he came out with the neoclassical stuff. And that was the finest. Well, it is. Even Charles, when I brought him around, he said, "It's the most fantastic building I've ever seen, Frank. It is absolutely wonderful." And I went, "Do you reckon?" And he went, "Yes, it is. It really is. And he's king now. King Charles." Anyway, I brought him around. And even Queen Victoria says, it's one of the finest buildings, if not the finest, neoclassical. That's what she said, Queen Victoria. So, and he mentioned that, by the way. He mentioned that, about Queen Victoria. He went on, great. I said, "Oh, yeah." But it says it's wonderful. It really is.
Yeah.
That's it, St. George's Hall and the likes of the Collegiate. Anyway, I put it down to myself by saving it, to be honest. I really do. And the White Mansion House in Calderstones Park, they didn't know the significance of that, which is absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, good evening all. Hope you're all well. Frank, Lorna sends her love. Oh, thank you, Pete. And I'll give my regards to little Charlie. Do you know, a few years ago, their grandson, Pete and Lorna Blenco's grandson, he has a wish list, to Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you send her letters up. And do you know what was top of the list? To meet me.
Oh.
Yeah. And they brought him down. I was doing a walk and they brought him down. And, met the kids. Little Charlie. He was amazing. I've got a photograph of him. You know,
Yeah.
we've got smashing, really smashing. And he was made up, you know, to make me.
If you want to know the truth about anything, ask a child.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
the world.
Yes.
It's
No, you're so right. You're so right. You're so right there. Aren't we? Philip Jones, good evening. I hope you're all well. Oh, that's lovely there. Thank you, Philip. Charlie Woods. Hello, Valley and Anthony. That's lovely.
Good evening, Charlie.
That's lovely, absolutely. And J.K. Kismet, he's on the football show, as you know. Blessed people. I hope you're all well. You never walk alone. Top of the league. I had to get that in, and he starts laughing, as you do. And look at that. Hello, Valley. I hope you're well. You'll never walk alone.
Nice to see you.
That lovely. And Daz Reynolds. All right, Frank, hope you're well today. Yes, Daz. Yes, I am well. Thank you so much. And listen to this one. Listen to this one, Anthony. I said, know your show, Queen Victoria, and around Liverpool. You're older than you look. Thanks very much, Charlie. That's the last time you'll be getting this out anytime soon, even on the football podcasts. But anyway. Lovely. And JK says, great to see you, Valley. I hope you're enjoying your stay.
Yes, I love it here. I am so thrilled. And I kind of like Frank a little to boot. It's really good.
Liverpool Scousers. I'm gonna show a picture, right? I'm gonna show this. But you know, aren't you? You're delighted to be here.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
And we're delighted that you're here.
Oh, look at that. Great to hear that, guys. Isn't that lovely? JK. Lovely fella. They're all lovely. These are all lovely people. I'm going to show you something here. Right? On that particular picture, you'd never guess where that is in a million years. You really wouldn't. You're talking like the mid 18th century, you know, the 1700s.
Yeah.
And that, believe it or not, is Castle Street.
Wow. Okay. From the town hall, looking down.
Looking down from the town hall, yeah. Looking down from the town hall. It's incredible, isn't it? You know, to think how it was. And where you can see, you're not going to believe this either. Right on the corner to the left as you're looking at the picture, you see these Georgian windows and whatever, right? And then where the carriage is, there, that's the saddle. Because a bit further up is the oldest pub. There's the oldest pub in the city centre of Liverpool, and that's Ye Hold in the Wall. That's where you and I met up at Christmas, Anthony, which is the oldest pub, Ye Hold in the Wall. And where that is, that's Rigby's, where the carriage is, by the way. That's Rigby's. So you've got all this history just on that little print. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, when you look up and not just taking the scene, we're still looking at those built or like buildings like that one. You know, and that I love that walk around there, Castle Street, Dale Street, all of that. Victoria Street, there's still some beautiful buildings around there.
Oh. Now, I've never heard of this lad here. I just have to go straight to him. But let me just say this first. Lynn Ellis says you can't beat the Liverpool hospitality and friendliness, Valley.
You know, I'm experiencing that, and I really do believe I've bought my ticket to paradise, and I really am happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? That's really lovely, though. Thank you. And look at this one, Ben Odlin. I'm a Scotsman, but I lived in Liverpool for a couple of years, and it's one of my favourite cities. Isn't that lovely?
It is, Ben. Yeah, yeah.
You know, it really is, you know, for people to come out and say about it. When Lynn says you can't beat Liverpool's hospitality and friendliness.
Yeah.
And she, you know, she's right, Lynn's right. You
Yeah.
can't, because we've been voted the warmest city, the friendliest city. I do know that in the whole of the UK.
Yeah.
The whole
And
of
it
the
exports very well as well.
Yeah, yeah. So that's you wouldn't think that though, would you? Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that coming from a Scotsman as well. Because you'd like to visit Scotland,
I
wouldn't you?
would. Yes, I hope to sometime.
You will.
Ah, beautiful.
You will.
I love Aberdeen. I love Edinburgh. There's many parts of Scotland that feel like home.
Well, I went. When I used to go to. Well, I only went once to Torquay. You know, for the season to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes down there. He gets a job in the Torbay Hotel. Never pulled a pint in my life or anything. And they said, have you worked behind the bar before? And I went, yeah, loads of times, you know, as you do, looking for work. So anyway, they put me in this, I forget what, cocktail lounge. A cocktail lounge.
Well,
I was giving everyone free drinks.
well, that's a little thing, isn't it? But it's by far that you learnt your craft down there. Because if you try doing it in Liverpool and you can't pull a pint in Liverpool, oh my gosh, the abuse.
Oh, yeah. Well, as I said, you know, and I always thought the float was mine. I only lasted a week. The fellow was like, there's nothing there. You've got no wages. I said, why? He said,
give it all away.
This fella asked for Pims. Pims. And I went, yeah, very posh she was, you know. Because they were doing all that ballroom stuff, you know what I mean? This is where I was working, all this ballroom stuff for them. Anyway, as I said, he was, you know the way you dance like that, you know, the ballroom, putting your head back like this, you know, melting around. And he came over to me and he said, hey, I said, oh, well, yeah. He said, can I have a Pims, please? 2 Pims. I said, yeah, sure. And I'm looking for the bottle of Pims, so I just went out. I said, yeah, that'll be whatever it was. And he was looking at me like, I said, no, that you're supposed to dilute it and anything. Anyway, you know, it's the end of that. That'll last me a week. I was giving them a bottle. Just shows you.
Well, we live and learn, don't we?
Yeah, we do live and learn. We do.
Always best to dilute it with whiskey.
Ben says, excuse me, Ben says, yeah, but there's something about Liverpool. It feels like its own world. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anthony and I agree. We all agree on that, Ben. And it's only the only city where if you ask someone for directions, they will not only tell you, but they are likely to walk you to the place. Yes.
Yeah.
That's how we got our capital of culture, through the likes of Tessa Sanderson. When she was looking for the hotel where the capital of culture panel were meeting, and she gets off at Lime Street Station, she walks down them steps, and she's looking around, and there's no taxis or anything there. And she stops this couple, and the couple said, "Yeah, no problem. Well, you know, where do you want?" And he said, she said, the lady said, "It'll be hard to find, but what, you know, her and her husband will do, we'll walk you down there." And this taxi driver, you know, pulls up and said, "Are you all right?" And he says, "Oh, she's looking for, you know, this hotel." And she said, yeah, the lady said to the taxi driver, "Yeah, we'll walk her down." And he said, "No, it's too far." He said, "Yeah, jump in." And he brought her down. He brought her to the hotel. And she says, "Oh, how much is that?" He said, "No, love, you're all right." He says, "I know you are." He said, "You did us proud in the Olympics." And she went, "No, no, love, thank you. You did us proud. You get in there and do the business." And that's genuine.
That's
one of the reasons we got the capital of culture,
yeah.
European capital of culture.
I'd never heard that. That's fantastic.
Well, I always forget this fella's name. It wasn't Bob Scott. It wasn't him. It was someone else. Oh, what's his bloody? I always forget his name. Anyway, he goes in. He went all around. He went to the likes of Oxford. He was up at Newcastle and Birmingham and all around, you know, Bristol. And he always asked for one beer in a pub, and not one at this beer. And he goes in. I think it's the Crown in Lime Street, near the Lime Street, isn't it?
Yeah.
The station that is. And he goes in there. I think it's the Crown. I'm not quite so sure. But anyway, he goes in, it's early, and there's two fellas at the bar, you know, just standing there at the bar. And the barman's there, and he went like that. He asked for this particular beer, and it was a European beer. And the lads went, "God, no one asked for that." "Yeah, hang on a minute." So he opens, you know, the door behind the bar to go down to the cellar. So we went down the cellar. And the two fellas, you know, now he's standing there, this fella, all tanned and ever, well suited up. And he said, "What are you here for, mate?" And he says, "It's just a visit." He never said anything. And he went, "Oh, that's nice. I hope you enjoy yourself." And the lad comes up with a crate of this beer. And he said, "Yeah," and he opened it and he poured it out and he gave him it. Oh, what's his bloody name? I keep forgetting his name. Anyway, the lad, he went to pay for it. And the lads went, "Hey, mate, we're getting ours in. We'll get you that. You're all right. Have it on us." And that's one of the reasons why we got it as well, because he went to the meeting and Tessa Sanderson said that the only pub that sold this beer, and it was a European beer. I don't even know what kind of beer it was. Wow. It must have been a very ambiguous one to us, you know, because of, you know, they sell Stella Artois and everything, Kronenberg. They sell everything, as you know. They sell everything. It just shows you, though, doesn't it, really? It just shows you, which is unbelievable. And that's Liverpool. It's only what Ben said as well.
It goes back to what we said over months of that thing of we from the Liverpool port, we go out, we go to America, we go wherever, and we bring back our little favourite items, beer, food, from there, and it's like it does become like its own little. In the 80s, it was great because there was an emergence of all sorts of European food, drink, beers, wherever you go. It used to be a pub, the Hardman Street Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Go in there, and it had all the Dutch and the Spanish and the Italian beers before anywhere else in the city.
Before anywhere else, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. You're so right. it was very rare that you got a Baretti or even a Peroni, the Italian beers, obviously. But yeah, that's all the usual. Because when we started drinking, when we were early 20s, in our 20s, uh, we only ever drank bitter and mild, didn't we? And then all of a sudden, we started to get like lager. And I'm talking about out the, not bottles, out the pump. And that became a fad, didn't it? And people say, oh, yeah, they'll have a lager. That's when the different types of, years later, started to come out there. The different types of lager, that is.
Well, we were the same when we used to play. When I was in the little bands and stuff I was in, and we play the clubs and things. You buy a pint and then you go on and play. And by the time you got your beer, it was cold, flat, and covered in flies. So you'd always go for the bottle, Newcastle Brown or whatever, and the lagers were the greatest thing. All the Dutch and the Italian, the European lagers that came over, because they last all night. Put the top back on.
Yeah.
Still made you walk sideways. So
listen to this fella. Frank, is that your other daughter? That's the last time your comments will be getting this out as well. What was that? And yeah, we remember this, don't we, Anthony? If you remember the Grand National Oaks, over 1,000 needed somewhere to stay. Scousers opens up their homes for them. Yes.
Yeah.
My auntie Leah, she lived up around there, and she opens their house up, for these people, because you have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go. That was great, that. Good memory, that. Thank you, Len. Good memory. I think Ben's been trying to find it. Gary Rigby says, I took some Dutch tourists to Ye Crack and they loved it.
Yeah.
Gary says, two of my faves are like the Swan in Wood Street. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And the Ship of Mitre, he says as well. Yeah.
The Swan in Wood Street has got did have a fantastic jukebox, which goes right back to the 70s. Some of the music on it is just like so iconic and so classic.
Yeah.
I remember going there many times, and we used to record in a little studio just at the top along the road from the church, and everyone used to go into the Swan and get a pint of stuff called wobbly bobs. So you'd have a pint of wobbly bobs and not a nerve in sight. You go do whatever you can do.
Wobbly bobs.
Wobbly bobs.
Wobbly bobs.
Know that one. But if you pushed it and did 2.5 or 3, oh my God, you were fit for nothing.
Did you ever? I think they still do it. I'm not quite so sure. The Catholic Cathedral, and they opened up the down the basement, not the basement, the crypt.
Yeah.
And they have beer festivals there. You can taste all beer.
Yeah.
I went up once. I got invited up. Do you fancy a day? I said, yeah, all right, go on. Went up and there was this Czechoslovakian beer. Czechoslovakian beer. And it looked like a greeny thing, Anyway, they said, would you like to try this? And I went, yeah, all right. So they gave me a little glass like that. So, I said, oh, it's lovely, this. Like lemonade, So I'll have a couple of them. Do you know what? They threw me in a taxi to get home. I was gone. I only had about three drinks, and I was gone.
My God! But you're near it to salvation, now, aren't you? Forgive me, Father. It has been 5 weeks since my 15 pints at the crypt.
I remember being in Cattolica once in Italy. On Cattolica, that's all like that's the German side of it. You know, the Germans go on there. You know, all the German tourists go to Cattolica, and you know, there's other parts of Italy where the likes of Salento, where the English go, and Venice and whatever. Anyway, I'm in there, and I goes to the beach. So I'm on the beach, you know, trying to get tanned. Comes off the beach, walking down to the hotel, and I sees these German lads, you know, sitting down and they're just having a drink. So I'm goes in, sitting outside, obviously, and the barman comes there, the waiter comes over, he said, what do you want, so I said, I'll have one of them. What they were drinking. He said, no, it's too much. I said, give me one. No problem, mate, you know. Anyway, they bring that big stein in. I went,
a bucket.
Do you know what? It was the strongest beer in the world. I think it was stronger than the Czech beer. And again, one of the waiters who was just leaving, you know, he'd done his shift, had to bring me to the hotel, put me on a chair or a couch, you know, in the hotel.
Well,
he's one of your guests, he says, and I'm like,
well, some of those beers are like 80% proof because it was
I think it was a tonic. I think it was a tonic. This thing, what I drank.
Yeah.
He's laughing a little. It's like a bloody comedy show. But anyway, Ben Odlin says, I even found a place that served tenants in Liverpool, which I never thought I'd see in England. Very home-like city. All the areas of Merseyside are like that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's a big Scottish connection.
Go on, Andy.
It's a big Scottish connection in Liverpool, the same as him. My dad's side of the family from Scotland, and around the same time as the city was being blessed with the Irish and the Italians and the Germans, it was too being blessed by the Scottish, who came down. Lots of fishermen who were coming down and keen to. So my dad's side kind of stayed here, and whenever I go to Scotland, bits of Scotland feel like Liverpool, and there are parts of Liverpool that feel like Scotland to me. Yeah, it's great.
No, it is. This is genuine. This again. Two lads as I said, I worked down and only for the season down in Torquay, and I got in. You know, went around with a couple of Glasgow lads. And anyway, they came up to Liverpool. I came home early, you see. And they came up. And they said, can we visit? I said, yeah, you know, anyway, they came up. And what they said to me was, it was just like getting off, when they got off at Lime Street, you know, their particular station up in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Was it Central? Anyway, they said it was just like that. When I got off, I went up there then, you see, and it was the same. What they said. You think that you're walking into Lime Street, well, getting off the train and walking around Lime Street. There's so much alike, but so are the people.
It's the energy of the people, the energy of the cities. I found that in New York. I felt New York was very Liverpool, like bigger and faster, obviously. Like, but it no worries about where we were walking and stuff. It just felt like home.
Well, of course, because John Lennon said it, didn't he? John Lennon. There
Yeah.
was a playwright. Did you ever know Alan Owen? He was a playwright, from Liverpool. I think he was
Yeah,
well.
he wrote the screenplay for Hard Day's Night, didn't he? Did he
That's
do
right.
that?
That's right. Well, when he was in New York, and this is before Lennon went there,
Yeah.
he said, it just reminded me of Liverpool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was Alan Owen.
Well,
Alan Owen.
I have when we get you over here one time in somewhere in the house, I've got a big wind up gramophone. No, the one with the arm and you crank it and stuff, which came because my granddad on my dad's side was one of the first Cunard Yanks, and he went to New York and saw this um, device which we didn't have at home, this wonderful thing, and he struggled with it, and I don't know how many weeks it took him, but he got it home, and then years later it ends up with me and my uncle saying, "Never let that go. Don't."
No.
Don't need to tell me a story behind it. And we wouldn't let it go. And it's here and it's part of the house. I do need to get it looked at. But it's just that idea and that kind of thing that I talk about with you a lot about the river and from Liverpool to America and to back. And we've been blessed with so much stuff.
Yeah.
There we are.
Well, you see that picture of shows of
Yeah.
right? Now, that particular church there in the background
Yeah.
is this church. And you're not going to believe it. I don't know the name of it. I forget the name of it.
Okay.
But that's in the background of that, which is absolutely extraordinary. And that's, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
gone now. It's gone now, obviously. But it's a beautiful church. And as I said, this particular picture, I think it's a whopper. It's a whopper. And I love this one as well. I love this particular picture. And this, hang on a minute. I know what Jason sent me here. Hang on. Just hang on. St. George's. Yeah.
Is that the church?
Yeah. St. George's. It's strange, because when you look at certain things, and they're a bit different, if you know what I mean, you go, well, that's not St. George's. But you know what that reminded me of? This particular church is St. Paul's. You know where St. Paul's Eye Hospital was? That's why it's called St. Paul's Square as well. Obviously, it's well gone, but that's what that reminded me of. It really did. But I want to get back to this. Because where this particular print was taken from, the artist.
Yeah.
He did it. Now he's standing right outside the town hall looking over. Because where it's got the writing on the side of the wall there to London in 26 hours, Birmingham, Manchester, Bristol, and all parts of the kingdom. Because right next to it, you had the coach house, Golden Eagle. You had the coach house, and that's where you got your coaches. Anyway, what's there today is the Loft Hotel. They converted the Loft Hotel, right, from the big insurance building, the fire insurance building with the big dial, you know, the sundial on the side of it.
Yeah, Sun Life.
So that's that there. That is that there. It's terrible to see that.
What an amazing view that would be across the city, the top floor.
Oh, fantastic. I tried to get up there once. There was this lawyer, this is when it was all shut down, and we actually filmed it, Tony Snell and myself.
Yeah.
And they had you know, it was chained up, you couldn't get through or anything. And anyway, I was talking to this lawyer, he was a smashing fellow, he was only a young lawyer. And I was chatting to him, and he said, listen, I'm going in there tomorrow. He said, but put a pair of wellies on if you want to go in. I said, do you know what I want to do? I want to go into the tower. I said, I'd love to do that. He said, we'll go in. There's no problem. But we're Wellingtons. He said, we're Wellingtons. So I said, yeah, okay. And unfortunately, I had other work to do. I had to go and give a lecture somewhere at the time he was going in.
Oh.
Never forget that. So I could have done that. I could have gone into that tower that day. But I have been in some places like Wellington's Column, for example.
Yeah.
I've been to the top of there.
Wow.
Top of there. Tony Snell was doing an outside broadcast. He said, I'd love to do an outside broadcast somewhere very different. And I said, okay. I said, when? He said, oh, in a couple of weeks. So I said, okay, yeah. So we got hold of this particular fella, city engineer. And I said, do you reckon that we could go up there and do this outside broadcast? He said, yeah. And we went up there and we did an outside broadcast, but it was so funny because Tony, you know, this fit lad, he was playing football 3 times a week and 5-a-sides as well. Anyway, we're down the bottom and the fella said, come on, let's get up. So he goes up first, the fella. Tony's with him, but they're going very fast and I'm behind them, right? And it's a little tiny spiral staircase, Anthony, and it wasn't iron or anything, it was stone, it was pure stone, you know, the steps. So they've gone, and I'm going up and I'm knackered. So by the time I get up, Tony, the door's open and the fella's like standing behind, you know, where you couldn't see him. And I gets up there and Tony says, now Frank's finally joined us. Now, Frank, can you tell the listeners what we're actually looking at from up here? Now, where we were looking over was, you know, the whole of William Brown Street and the neoclassicals and
my favourite.
Else, and he was expecting me to say. So he said, so can you tell the listeners where we're actually looking at, Frank? And Frank went, I couldn't talk. I was done in. So he went, we play a record while Frank gets his breath back. So he said to me, if the records was playing, and he said to me, listen, Frank, so, you know, don't speak. Wait till get your breath back and I'll ask you again. And I just nodded my head, you know. So anyway, he said, well, Frank's got his breath back now. So what are we actually looking at now, Frank? And Frank went,
4,000 stairs.
that was the end of the outside broadcast. But he was made up, you know, that he got up there. I couldn't breathe. The same was in, I did something for the BBC, this programme. I don't know what a BBC Look North, or I don't know what it could have been, I don't know. But anyway, do you know St. Nick's Church?
Yeah.
I had to get up there as well and talk about, all the film crew were up there. So I said, it gets there. And I said, now I'm in a pinstripe suit, more or less, you know. Shirt, tie, everything. Anyway, it gets there. And I said to excuse me there, I'm sorry. So I said to the Virgin, I said, where's the television crew? And he went, he's up there. They're up there. And I went, okay. He said, hey, I said, yeah, okay. So it goes up, right, get onto this. Gets to the top. And they're all packed up, coming down. He said, you're late. I said, I had to walk all the way. And they were going fast. And by the time I got down, I was banging against walls and everything. And I had this navy blue suit on, as I said, pinstripe. I had white all over me, you know, my shoulders and my arms. My shoes were scraped, you know, because they were very tiny stairs. I was scraping my shoes. I said to the fella, I said, I'm going home. He said, no, you can't. We've got to tell. I said, you can start off. I'm going. I said, look at it, stick to me. The things I do as well for, you know, our lovely history. Anyway, so the likes that's the Great Dale Street, as you know, and that's, you know, where it says to London 26 hours. That's the Loft Hotel. That's the Loft Hotel as we see today. I think it's a fantastic print. It really is. And I'm going to tell you what this is afterwards, and you won't believe where this is and what it's called. See up there? So after the break, ladies and gents, we'll have a quick break, and we'll show you a clip of something, and see you after the break, hopefully.
In the 19th century, Liverpool had the vision that was the envy of the world. Many firsts were copied, and the overhead railway was no exception. In 1888, an improved plan by businessmen who formed Liverpool Overhead Railway Company had given the go-ahead. Sir Douglas Fox and James Greathead were commissioned to design an elevated railway. After long last, it was finally accepted, and the work commenced in 1889. There were problems at first. Fox and Greathead had a dilemma. What was the safest power to use? They considered steam too dangerous because of the many flammable cargoes within the range of the train's sparks that could easily ignite these dangerous cargoes, causing a major catastrophe to shipping and the public. The only other option to pursue in 1891 was the new electric traction. Electricity was carefully chosen because of the enormous advantages: economy, speed, cleanliness, and quiet running. Work was completed in January 1893 and finally opened on February the 4th by the Marquess of Salisbury. The public transport section did not have long to wait. It commenced on the 6th of March 1893. The world's first electric railway had automatic electric signals and a line from Herculaneum Dock to Seaford Carriage Shed. It had 11 stations at the beginning: Brocklebank, Canada, Sandon, Clarence, Princes, Pierhead, James Street, Custom House, Wapping, Brunswick and Toxteth. An electric escalator, the first of its kind, the Reno staircase, was installed at Seaford Sands in 1901. It was removed in 1906 because there were too many insurance claims by passengers against the railway. Clothing, especially women's long outfits, were continually getting caught and people falling over themselves as it moved and stopping suddenly. During the 1941 May Blitz, Parts of the overhead railway were bombed and quickly repaired. However, the Second World War, through wear and tear and the bombing, deck plate supports for sections of the track were needed to be replaced, but at a costly price of £2 million. The company who ran the railway could not afford the price, and they proceeded to ask the council and the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board for help. They were refused, and with no help forthcoming, the rigorous public protest, the overhead railway, the first of its kind anywhere in the world, closed. The last train ran on December the 30th, 1956. There were many protests and attempts to save the overhead railway. Unfortunately, the protests fell on deaf ears. The only decision made by the people in power was to demolish it, and demolish it they did, leaving an enormous void in Liverpool's great heritage. There are few remnants left of the old overhead railway, and this one at Brunswick Dock. You can see the stairwell leading up to the station itself. And up here we have a tunnel that led to Dingle, because engineers had to bore through sheer sandstone for half a mile of tunnel to get to Dingle in an extraordinary feat of the 19th century. The Liverpool Overhead Railway, which is much missed, is a real Liverpool unequalled. Here, during the new construction down at the Albert Dock, what you can actually see behind me is a building, the new Park 1 West building, that's shaped like the bow of a ship, and it just coincides with the Albert Dock, which was the very first enclosed dock in the entire world, built in 1846 by Jesse Hartley. It's absolutely wonderful, and it's Grade 1 listed. Why it was cutting edge at the time in 1846, before the Albert Dock was built, there was lots and lots of pilfery going on. Goods were going, businessmen, merchants were getting absolutely fed up. And Jesse Hartley, the docks engineer, came up with a brainchild to build an enclosed dock. And this is what you see today, the very first enclosed dock system in the entire world. And it opened in 1846 by Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, hence the name Albert Dock. As you can see, people are just sitting down on a lovely day drinking coffee. But if you go back to the 1850s, the actual coffee beans in big sacks were being unloaded by the dockers. But unfortunately, there's no more dockers now. But they've been replaced by the tourists sitting down drinking the coffee. So therefore, it's come in a big full circle. Besides the coffee, what was coming into Liverpool, into the Albert Dock, was sugar, cotton, exotic fruits, spices from all around the world. And yet, Jesse Hartley said, we cannot afford for these to be pilfered. And he built the dock. And there was only one way in with the ships and one way out. No pilfering. And that's why the rest of the world copied this magnificent building. During the decline of the dock system, this became no exception, the Albert Dock, because it just went and fell into dereliction. And the dock itself, the water side of it, just silted up. And it wasn't until 1983 and the foresight of Michael Heseltine, the Minister of Merseyside then, he foreseen a great future for this dock. And today, modern times, it's become one of Liverpool's jewels in the crown for tourism.
about that?
Fascinating.
How about that?
Yeah, I know we've talked often about the Dockers umbrella, the railway. I'd never seen it in my life. Obviously, I was born after it was demolished, but that's the most information I've seen in terms of imagery, and
All right.
it is just such a sadness. I mean, I grew up with that with my grand folks on both sides, and my mum and dad saying what a tragic loss to the city it was, for something to be pulled down and demolished, which is still working across the world. Different parts of the globe still have parts of it, and it functions.
And you know what, Anthony? The sad thing is, there's these people who's trying to stop the demolition. They were saying it's our heritage. I think it was corruption. I don't think, I know it was corruption to get it off. And I'll tell you for why. Because after the war, Second World War, the government came out and said any public buildings or structures that have been damaged during the war, if you take it away, demolish it or whatever, we'll compensate. And the next, it could have easily have been saved, the overhead. It could have easily have been saved. They wanted like 2 million quid, right? So anyway, they decided to pull it down. They needed new plates after a while, and they needed new plates, which it would cost 2 million. And they said, no, we pull it down. So they gave them a lifespan, I think, of 15 years. If it's pulled down within 15 years after the ending of the war, they'll compensate. And that's why it was pulled down, because some of the councillors who ran the city were in the demolition business.
Yeah.
So you take it from there, Yeah. It was so sad. It was the very first electrified overhead railway in the entire world. And the likes of New York and Chicago copied it. They copied the electrified railway. It was incredible. And the rest is history, as you know. It's just nonsensical. It's nonsensical to pull down these iconic structures and buildings. It's like it's like the bloody Custom House as well. That went.
Yeah.
And if you look there, that in the background you see St. George's Church. That's St. George's Church in the background of Church Street. Now, St. George's Church was built in 1724. And it was so sad. No, it was pulled down in 1724. So the likes of this building here, this wonderful church, St. George's Church, that was built years later, right? A few years later by John Foster Jr. And when it was built, it went right up to 1898. And then they decided to have a monument dedicated to Queen Victoria. So that went. They pulled that down, St. George's Church, which is so sad. So sad. But that's not St. George's Church. That's St. Peter's Church, built in 1701. This particular church, 1701. Think about it, and it became the pro-cathedral. It became the pro-cathedral of Liverpool when Liverpool got its city status. Every city is supposed to have a cathedral. So St. Peter's and Church Street became the pro-cathedral. provincial cathedral. Right, so that became that. Sorry.
I was just going to say, was that built on the site of the church which was related to the castle?
No, believe it or not, St. Nick's Church, that's on the waterfront there today.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first to go up. That was really the first like public church in Liverpool. The castle as a church, St. Mary del Keys, but that was only for the dignitaries, and there was no real church around Liverpool at the time. And you're talking like the 1200s. That's what you're talking about. So they decided to build a public church. What's Jason put up here? Yeah, look at that. Isn't that fantastic?
Absolutely beautiful.
That's it. That's the church. That's St. George, St. Peter's Church. It's absolutely wonderful. Now the point is, when that was built in 1701, they decided to pull it down, as I said, when we got our city status. So they pulled it down in 1923, when the cathedral, the Anglican, was more or less completed. Well, it wasn't completed, but it was half done. So when it became the cathedral, people could go and worship or whatever inside the Anglican cathedral. This became then, there was surplus to requirements. That's what it became. So they pulled it down.
Just such a shame.
It is a shame, yeah.
I'm looking at the front, the elevation of it, the front of it, and not looking at the tower, but to me that looks like St. Anthony's Church, Scotland Road.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It does. It does. Without the tower. You're so right. Do you know why St. Anthony's never has a tower or anything? Shall I tell you why?
Cool.
When it was built, now St. Anthony's is the second St. Anthony's, Did you know that?
Because I did, I remember that. Go on. Yeah.
Well, where St. Anthony's, don't forget that the Catholic Church, they had to be inconspicuous. They couldn't be, there and, people going, because they fought for the Catholic emancipation, especially for services and churches, especially for them. So anyway, when the Reformation was going on, and a few years later, Skirving Street, which was a very small street with just a couple of houses, what they had a cellar. And St. Anthony's, they just named this cellar where people could celebrate Mass in Skirving Street. So it was this cellar, that was, just called it St. Anthony's, you see. They just called it St. Anthony's. So by the time that the wonderful emancipation was coming about, they said, you can build a church, but don't have a spire or any sort of tower. They weren't allowed to have a spire or anything. So anyway, that's the way a lot of churches up and down the country, Catholic churches, didn't have any spires. They had to remain, inconspicuous to the public. Anyway, by the time they got it, the emancipation came in 1830. They started to build, and there were people, as we know, in Old Swan, as we know today. They said, will you build a church? They got hold of a fella by the name of Welby Pugin. Now, Welby Pugin built hundreds of churches. He actually built 16 cathedrals, this fella. So they got him, and they said, will you build us a church? And he said, yeah. So we came up from down south, built St. Oswald's in Old Swan. And St. Oswald Church, Catholic Church, was the very first Catholic church in the north of England to have a steeple. And that was after the emancipation of 1830. And he said, can we have a steeple? And he went, yeah, you can have what you want. So they built a steeple, and that was the first, and it's still there, prevalent today.
Wow.
You can see it. I think it's fantastic myself, and great. Do you know how old Welby? Now, don't forget, this fella built 16 cathedrals and a few hundred churches up and down the country, and yet he died at the age of 42.
Wow.
42 years of age, he died, Anthony. It's just, it really is. But what do you think of that? It's unbelievable.
Amazing story, and I think that's an amazing picture. Because, Frank, what's the spire in the distance?
Rich, that one. This one there. That'll be St. George's Church. That was built where the Victoria's Monument is.
Yes.
That's what that'll be.
Wow.
Because that's looking up, you see, towards there. It's either that or St. Thomas's. It's either that or St. Thomas's. Because St. Thomas was where, I'll tell you where it exactly is. If you go down to the bottom, do you know where John Lewis is? Lewis, right facing there, right at the bottom of Duke Street. And there's like a little garden there now. It's dedicated to Joseph Williamson, because Joseph Williamson, the mole of Edgehill, he got married there. And he died. When he died, he was buried there. And the grave is still there.
Yeah.
The grave is still there, yeah. Joseph Williamson, the mole of Edgehill. Now, that could be that. But the way I'm looking at it, I don't think it is. I think it is. I'm looking at the trajectory of Church Street. And that's to the left.
Wow.
Yeah, that's St. George's. It's not St. Thomas's. It's St. George's. Because St. Thomas's was further down on the left. As we look at it, was further down. So that's St. George's.
I think that is the most majestic piece of artwork. That is wonderful.
Wonderful.
It's not Herdman, is it? Who's a friend to us on the program.
Yeah.
It's like an etching, but it's absolutely. Where would we be without these people, men and women?
Exactly. Well, this is a Herdman, as you know, and you can see if you look at that, and you can see how different it is.
Yeah.
The drawing itself.
This is more like an etching. It's architectural.
Yeah,
drawing,
because as you say, that's completely. But it's nevertheless, it's it's St. Peter's in Church Street, that particular thing. And so, when we look at the dispensary again, in the background, you can see St. Peter's again. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's just absolutely wonderful. And I reckon this is one of my faves, this one.
Yeah.
Because on the direct left, you've got the tower building, the first tower building, that is.
Yeah.
Because the tower buildings that we actually see today, that's the third one, right facing the Liver building. So this is the first one. Now, look, my point is, look how far the water is. Right up to, like Water Street's the next street, as you know, going up. That's Water Street there. Right?
Yeah.
And as I said, that's the tower there on the left. So this is what you have. You have a magnificent building built in around 1301.
Yeah.
No, it was before then. It was before then. But that's the only documentation of this particular building, the stone building, and also a paved town. It's documented because nowhere else in the country was paved. Only Liverpool, not with paving slabs, but with duck stones, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So this particular building, this was built around, when was it? It must have been built around the mid 13th century, the 1200s. That's when it was built. Because Lord Derby said, "Oh, I want one of these," because he was looking at the castle which is in the background on this picture. He wanted something like that, a castle. So he built that, the tower building, the first tower building, because there's only been 3 on the site. And we've got the white stone one today, as you can see. But I think that's a fantastic picture because where you see the cart and that building, that's a custom house. That is a custom house. And any goods coming in, as you know, or going out, they had to go to that custom house there. It's incredible. It really is incredible. I think that was the first custom house, by the way, that particular building. And there's St. Nick's now.
Yeah.
Now what? It just goes to show what kind of people went to St. Nick's Church. They weren't like ragamuffins or anything.
No.
Poor people weren't allowed to go into these churches, you know. They weren't allowed to go in. So when St. George's Church in Everton was built in 1814, the architect, John Rickman, he said, what I want, he said, I want pews directly to the right, you know, of the altar, directly to the right, where poor people can actually go and to the service. He said, that's what I want. And they said, oh, you can't have that. He said, why? I said, well, okay, I won't do it then. So anyway, they reluctantly gave him the job, you know, to design the church, which he did successfully, as you know. But St. George's Church became the very first church in the world to have a cast iron infrastructure, because the infrastructure of church, or any building for that matter, was wood.
Yeah.
And especially the Americans, they were made up with that. They said, oh, can we have some of this? Yeah, okay. So they used to smelt the concrete and these iron parts in towards the concrete, or in the concrete, and they used to send them over to America, Australia, anywhere who needed these particular blocks of cement with iron in.
Yeah.
It was incredible, absolutely incredible what we were given the world, especially like iron infrastructure of any building, that is, any building whatsoever. But I think that's an absolutely brilliant picture. Sorry.
That's just beautiful. It's a stunning spot now, but that as a snip of history is just fantastic.
Well, as I said, I went up to the tower, and it was just nuts because the camera crew were coming back down. So I never got a chance to talk about anything.
Well, I promise you now, I wouldn't have got past the 5th or 6th step. I thought, if there's a cafe, I'll see you in the cafe.
Yeah. Tell me in the cafe. Oh, crazy. But funny enough, that tower, Now this is before that tower was built, because the original tower actually fell on a group of young kids from a charity school. These young girls killed them, 14 of them, and the bell ringer. So they got a lad named James Harrison from Chester to design what we see today, the tower. And that actually went, not the full tower, but just the top.
Yeah.
And he designed that with the weather vane, which is called the Donnelly, by the way. It's called the Donnelly. And the lad whose ship it was, named Donnelly, he wanted to, when it was lost, all lives were lost as well.
Yeah.
And he wanted to immortalise the ship, the Donnelly, and the lives of the lads who perished, unfortunately, when it floundered. So we went and he said, will anyone make me a weather vane and can I put it on top of the church? So the people in authority said, yes, sure. And the authority of the church, they said, yes, sure. So the weather vane is up there. It's been up there. Well, the ship went down in 1838.
Was that when the church started to get the name as the Sailors' Church or the Seamen's Church?
Do you know what? You're obviously you've been listening to what I've been saying, because that's why it became the Sailors' Church. Not only that, it was when the sailors got into the port, that they went to the church. It's right on the pier. It's right there. You'll see when you get off a ship, you see that. And they went in to pray that, getting them there to safe journey, because it was very rough in those days. Ships floundered. That's why they still go out today and hunt for these kind of ships. The divers, if there's any hidden treasure there. So what do you think of that? But anyway, the tower went up in 1815, the year of the Battle of Waterloo.
Wow.
So that went up then by James Harrison. Wow. Incredible history. You go in there today, and what you see, you've got 3 altars. And on the left altar, what you've got is a big cross, a big giant cross. And it's made out of burnt wood from the church. Burnt wood.
Yeah.
Just shows you, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. I love the church, outside and inside. And both separately, Lainey and I spent our late teens, early 20s, going there to sit in the churchyard and just eat. Yeah. If I was working in town, which I was, I'd go there and have my lunch and just sit. And it's a bit like, it's like, as we know now, that is one of the busiest roads in the city, the Strand, we call it, the amount of traffic that goes on. But if you sit in that churchyard, you don't hear anything.
No.
Just like in a little oasis of silence. Yeah. Beautiful place.
And as you're looking at that's Lime Street.
Yeah.
And that's where the kilns were, the lime kilns. Hence.
I drew one of them. Yeah. Yeah. And they were, after a while, they were reported by the hospital, weren't they? Or one of the I don't know which hospital, but about the stench was making people ill. So was that something to do with the whole thing, then having to move down towards Scotland Road, didn't it?
Yeah.
Lantern Lane.
Well, do you know what? That's right, because when St. George's Hall was being built, these lime kilns, they gave off a terrible odour as well.
Yeah.
They gave off a terrible odour. And it was lime burnt you as well. Lime burnt you because there was lime pits,
Yeah.
especially for workhouses, because workhouses wouldn't bury the dead. So they used to put them in lime pits. So it was very dangerous. So when they decided to build St. George's Hall, which started in 1842, they had to get rid of these lime kilns. And as you said, you know, they put us up in what we know today is Lambton Lane.
Yeah.
Which isn't far from where I live at the moment.
Yeah.
Lambton Lane. Which is fantastic, by the way. Fantastic. When I moved up there. And you had a fellow by the name of Lee Jones who came to Liverpool. He wanted to go into the clergy. And he came from Warrington. Or was it Runcorn? Not quite too sure. One of the two anyway. Anyway, he came into Liverpool to go into the clergy service. And as he was walking around Everton, he seen all these ragamuffins running around in the bare feet, very dirty, kids not being fed properly. They were undernourished. So what he decided to do, he decided to open up a place. The money he had, this is Lee Jones, the money he had, he decided to open just a build, and he bought a cotton warehouse off the council, or he rented it, one of the two. And what he did as well, he got these women and he paid them a little wage, and they were dressed up like nurses. So anyone who came in with cuts and bruises, especially children, because there was lots of amputees, which never gets mentioned. And those are amputees. It's where kids in the bare feet were running around, cutting the feet. Infection got in, therefore gangrene sets in. So there were lots of amputees. So Lee Jones, it was one Christmas, he decided to have a Christmas party for people because they couldn't afford anything, couldn't afford meat. So he had a Christmas party. And one Christmas, what you had, I can't even pronounce this fella's name, but he was a Belgian. He was a Belgian. And he was an artist. And believe it or not, these Belgians at one Christmas were exiled, deported. Something has happened back in the capital. And that was Brussels.
Yeah.
Something happened there, so they were exiled. So they made the way to Liverpool to get to America. But they had no money or anything. It was shocking.
Yeah.
And Lee Jones felt sorry for them. So he gave them a Christmas party. And he actually collected money for their fares to get over to America. And there was a fella, I really can't pronounce his name. And he was so impressed with that story. And he was looking around Liverpool, went into the town hall. And he said, can I do something in repayment? And they said, well, you can't pay it to us, but you can pay it to the city. He said, well, I can't afford it either. So what he designed was it's hard to explain this. It really is. He designed the clock in Lime Street Station.
Wow.
He designed the clock in Lime Street Station. He was an incredible man. But also, you've been in the town hall, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you know the fireplace as you go in, and it's on your right. It's a beautifully carved fireplace.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he designed that, and he paid for it himself. And when you look at the frieze in the reception area, you look at the frieze, you see, don't you, Britannia, and you see the workers, you see everything around that frieze.
Yeah.
But he was an artist as well. So he painted that for nothing as a goodwill gesture to the city of Liverpool, simply because they helped the city of Liverpool, helped these immigrants to get over to America and give them that Christmas party as well at Lee Jones.
That's
But
true.
Lee Jones today, it's known as the legal well-doers.
Yeah. I knew
He
that.
was a great philanthropist, was Lee Jones.
Amazing story. Absolutely.
But that's it. I could never pronounce his name. This particular Belgian. Could never.
Did you go on to work somewhere else in the city?
No, that's all that's all he did for Liverpool.
That's his gallery.
Yeah, you know that massive fireplace, beautifully carved, and also the frieze around the reception area. He painted. That's all he ever did.
I'm going to have to go back in and see that again. Study that.
I'll bring it in.
Yeah.
I'll bring it in. Human Valley. How about that?
I would
And
love
Lane,
that.
be nice to see Lane in the next few weeks.
Oh, I would love it. Yeah. And again, it just undermines how much we see and how much we miss.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at specific things and not the things that matter.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. I'll show you the frieze as well. I bet you've never seen a frieze that no one sees. And they go, when I show them it, they go, I've never noticed that.
Yeah.
I've never, ever noticed that.
That's exactly what I mean, yeah.
And there's another thing I'd like to show you as well, which no one ever sees. And when I show them it, they go, wow, look at that, you know. And I'm talking about details of something, details. And when you look carefully, you'll shake your head. You'll just go, I don't believe that. And what I mean is, you know, that they've never noticed it before. That's all I mean.
Yeah, I know.
But honestly, I'll show you these things when we meet up. And we'll do it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Whatever. Is that all right? You and Laney and Valley.
That's fantastic. I'd love
Valley
it.
can't wait.
I'm excited.
I love it. I really do. So that's Lime Street there, and those lime kilns.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I remember studying.
I'm going to show you something, right? Now, you're looking down towards, you're looking down towards Dale Street, right? From there.
Yeah.
Say, like, where we're looking, where we are now, looking over at the lime kilns. This is say the Empire Theatre. So we're looking right down, okay?
Yeah.
And what you see a building on your right, a little building where the middle thing is, you know, windmill. There's a building on the right.
I see. Yeah.
And that's the town hall.
Wow.
Exchange, well, it was the exchange then. That's the exchange. This is before 1754, by the way, before the original, now the town hall is built today. So this particular picture is before 1754.
Is this a herdman again, Frank?
That's the herdman, yeah.
Yeah. God bless that man, I tell you what.
Incredible.
Fantastic,
An incredible man. An incredible man. It really is. He really is. And when you look to your left, you see like a tower, don't you? You know,
Yeah.
where the very end.
Like a square thing. Oh, yeah.
You see like a white building, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's St. Peter's.
Wow.
So you're looking towards now Church Street. You're looking over at Dale Street, and then you go across, and then you're looking at Church Street. It's incredible, isn't it, really?
Absolutely incredible.
And have a guess what that, where you've got to the right, now don't forget that's the town hall. And I think it depicts something here. It really does, it depicts something. And I think it's out of scale, because the middle windmill, just to the left of it, you see a spire, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's St. John's Church. You know, St. John's Lane.
Yeah.
You know, St. John's Gardens, because that's what was there. So that's St. John's.
Well, there's a wonderful thing which allows us to get away with an awful lot if you have a pencil or the paintbrush. It's called artistic license.
Yes.
Yes, so he's probably, you know, it's about at different angles you lose track of the buildings.
Yeah.
If someone to do a landscape of features of the area, then he's got all the features in at the time.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable that there's so much open space.
Yeah.
Between where he is, Empire Theatre, right the way across the city.
Yeah. He's fitting everything in.
Yeah.
He's fitting everything in. And don't forget as well that the likes of London Road, you know, where that's Lime Street, obviously, and London Road, when London Road came into the fore, at the top of London Road, because it's on a slant, isn't it? It's on a slant, London Road. And that's where they had the gibbet, where they hanged people. And it was used as a deterrent to stop thieving, to stop murders, to stop everything. And when they hanged a person, what they used to do, they used to leave them there for 6 weeks. And you can imagine the decrepitness. You can imagine the birds and everything else, you know, pecking at it, the poor hanged person. And don't forget, you got hanged for stealing oranges then, or even a wolf.
Wow.
You know, these little misdemeanors, as they know today, well, they were hanged in those days. And the rebels, the Jacobite rebels, were hanged there. But they weren't hanged just like by the rope. They were actually hanged by chains on the gibbet up the top of London Road. What's so significant, you reckon, about London Road, without saying T.J. Hughes? What else is there? I think it's great, this. I think it's great. It's not a building I'm talking about. If you think of London Road, it's not a building.
Well, it's an area which is morphed into. I remember growing up hearing stories about it being one of the centres of nightlife.
It was.
With the pubs and the bars and the entertainment industry was all around
Oh,
there.
it was. That's why there were so many bars as we were growing up.
Yeah,
Because that's, I grew up in Jerry Gardens, and that's where we used to congregate in London Road, because there was so many bars. And I said, don't forget you had the Shakespeare Theatre there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's where, I think that's what you were talking about, the likes of the Shakespeare, and that's where only the wealthy could go there, by the way. Only the wealthy people could go to the Shakespeare. And
Well,
if you think about it, the Shakespeare, what did they have on there? They had the likes of Shakespeare.
yeah,
You had the likes of, and I'm going to show you, right, what I was talking about. I love Jason, And it's that. It's the statue
wow,
in London Road. Isn't that fantastic?
yes,
Now, that statue was designed by a fellow by the name of Westmacott, George Westmacott. And there's a myth surrounding it because that's George III, and he's dressed in a Roman toga, sitting on a Roman horse. Yeah. Now, Romans, the myth surrounded that he forgot to put stirrups on the horse. He forgot to put stirrups on the horse. So he went away and he took his own life.
wow,
Well, it's a fallacy, it's a myth. Because one, George Westmacott was 80 years of age when he died. No, he was 84 years of age when he died. Yeah.
yeah,
Also, Romans did not have stirrups. And obviously he knew that. And it's a copy, the statue's a copy of Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest of all emperors. One of my favorites, actually, Marcus Aurelius. And it's a copy of that. When I went to Rome once, and I was just walking past this thing, and I looked at it, couldn't believe it. And what it was the bloody statue of Marcus Aurelius sitting on his horse, the one that we copied here in London Road.
wow,
Do you know what else Westmacott designed? You're going to love this. He actually designed Nelson's monument.
wow,
Yeah, England expects every man to do his duty. He designed that. This is what kind of a fella this lad was, this sculptor, George Westmacott.
genius. Well, you told me what the statue was made of, which in itself is all remarkable, just amazing. And it's the first we talk about a stance against anti-war, anti-death, all this monstrosity that comes with one country declaring a fight against another. And that to me is one of the most powerful statements I've ever heard. The story of
You're talking about Wellington's column, aren't you?
Yes.
And the guns captured at Waterloo.
Yes.
That's my favourite piece of history in Liverpool.
That's just amazing.
It is amazing. It really is. I think that statue's fantastic.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And the buildings, you see, like the buildings behind, I don't mean to the left, right at the back and to the right, where that court is. They're still there today.
Oh, magnificent.
That row of houses, row of buildings are still there today. What you're looking at now.
Were they the ones that were kind of refurnished over the past few years?
Yes,
20 years ago?
yes,
Yeah, that
spot
block,
on. Yes.
beautiful. Well,
Well, if
it
you
was,
look at,
go on.
sorry,
No,
go on,
it was a big part of us driving to town to see them. I think, wow, they look amazing. If I win the lottery, we're buying one of them. No.
well, if you look, say like we're walking down from that building there, where the cart is.
Yeah.
And on your left, I'm not talking about the TJ Hughes side because that's nothing now. It's nothing, if you know what I mean. But if you look on the left-hand side, you've got some fantastic building. Even the pub, the Greek, is it? In Greek Street, that pub, they calls it the Greeky, right? Fantastic building. Then you've got the bank on the corner. Well, it's not a bank anymore, but it's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you walk down, and there's some fantastic buildings still on the left of London Road as you're walking towards. As you're walking, it's just hard to explain because the likes of the Lord's Warden pub, that's gone now. The Lord's Warden, gone. I used to go in there every weekend to start the journey into town on a Friday and Saturday night. And that's gone. That was like a tradition for us lads, going out.
But Frank, I think it's common with thousands of people that's the point where history kicks in. When there's something that you grow up with, and our landmarks in life, wherever we live, Liverpool, Scotland, wherever, are ordinarily churches, pubs, and historic buildings. And when they go, when it takes a piece of your life away with them, that's when you start to get it. That's when you think, why? Why would they move that? Why would that go?
Yeah.
Until you go through that, really, you've no experience of loss. Yeah, that is just incredible, and I'm so glad that they're the houses that we drive past and love. Yeah, I don't know who owns them now. Whether they're all separately owned or it's a,
Well, do you know that? What do they call it? Oh, there's Kirsty and that other fella. Oh, they see these houses. I forget it because I haven't seen it for years. But anyway, I met them and Kirsty and Phil. Oh, they're on every week on the telly. I don't watch the telly anymore. Anyway, Kirsty and Phil, they go around, I even forget what they do about houses. And I seen this Phil, and I was seeing him, and I went, I like Phil, and he went, oh yeah. I said, where's your up on Kirsty? And he said, oh, she's meeting her later on. And this is outside the Hope Hotel, Hope Street. And anyway, I was chatting. I said, you going around here? He said, no. He said, we're going down to, I think he said, Wilton and Egbert. I said, oh, right, or Calderstone, somewhere like that. I said, why don't you visit the Georgian Quarter? I said, we've got more Georgian buildings, more than Bath, with the exception of London. He said, I know you have. He says, and they're fantastic. He said, but we got a schedule to do, for filming. We can't just go into and start filming something that's not relevant to the show. I said, no, that's fair enough, as long as you know. Oh, what's it called? Forget what you call it. Someone on here will sell. Someone on here. Yeah, Mark Kinishman talking about St. Paul's. Thank you, Mark. Yep, St. Paul's Church stood on St. Paul's Square, what later became the stadium. Yes, Mark, thank you so much. And JK says, amazing. He's still with us, JK. I'll have to go through some of these.
Cheers, JK.
And as he says, every major city should have an underground system at least. Yes, we have, yeah. No, you're right. Gary Rigby. I have my own theory why Liverpool got a lot of buildings and the overhead railway knocked down. Well, one was corruption, if you know what I mean, Gary, but I'd like to hear it sometime. Mark, Frank, that building on the picture of St. Peter's Church in Church Street is the blue coat behind the railings, yes. Yes. Yes, Mark. And the Blue Coat building is the oldest building in the city centre. And the oldest pub is Ye Hole in the Wall. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love these people, you know, they know everything. And Gary says, JK spot on, and I think there is more to it. But I don't want to sound like a crank, and it will take too long to explain. Right? Lee Brazy. Oh, wow. How many mills are there around Lime Street? The only mills I know still standing is in Crosby. I think there is another one, but I can't think of it right now. Oh, Anti-Gamble. Hi, Frank and Anthony. Our boy wonder, Jason.
Hi, Andy.
Sorry I'm late. Just been to see my mum and dad, who send their regards. A quick one, Frank, as I know I'm late on parade. Do you know about the well in Bowl Street? Yes. Yeah.
In the shop.
Founded in 2005. Thank you, mate. And a massive hello to all your fab listeners. That's the sponsor of the Frank Carlyle Show, Anti-Gamble. And you know what? You know that well? It's by Maggie Mays.
Yeah,
Was
in the clothes shop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big well.
Yeah.
And if you ever read Tom Slemon's books, he says that there's a wormhole in Bowl Street, and it's the most haunted street in Liverpool.
Wow.
How about that?
Well, I've heard that the top of Bowl Street, with the bomb church stuff, is the most haunted area in the city. Yeah.
Well, do you know the cavern? No, you're right. You're right. Do you know the cavern? The cavern, you know. Cavern. Yeah. Right underneath there's a massive lake, believe it or not. And do you know where Kane's Brewery is? In the Baltic?
Yeah.
There's a massive lake there. I'm going to tell you something, you see. And there's also a massive lake, believe it or not, in Great Homer Street. Because your man would have told you, Anthony, Schofield's used to be there. You know the lemonade place, Schofield's?
That's true, it painted it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, did you know how they made the lemonade? With that water, because underneath there was the lake.
Wow.
And why I'm saying this is because where the water and everything run, that's how that well is there in Bowl Street.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know where the source of, the water that in St. James's Cemetery, the Anglican Cathedral.
Yes.
Water, and it's good for your eyes. Even even the Royal Hospital says if you bathe your eyes in that water that comes out, it cures your eyes, of soreness or whatever.
Wow.
And that's where the source anyway, from there down to Bowl Street and the well. And right underneath I have to say this, the Stebble Fountain, right? By Wellington. I told you, I said to these Finnish parliamentarians, because I took them around in the capital culture year, and I got fed up with them. This is from 9 o'clock in the morning, and all he was saying, can we go to the cavern, please? You want to go to the cavern and have a beer? And from 9 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I was getting fed up with them, and it was after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they said, can we go now to the cavern? And I said, yeah. And one of them said, well, what's that up there? And it was Wellington, with his cloak on.
Yeah.
And I said, it's Elvis. I said, he's looking over towards, see that theatre there? That's the Empire Theatre. That's where the Beatles appeared. And they were fascinated. They were fascinated. And what was going on at the time? The fountain was on. And they said, oh, that's a beautiful fountain. Oh, beautiful. I said, yeah. I said, but it's broke. And he said, but the water just keep coming out. I said, no, they've got two fellas. I said, and they're underneath there. And the peddling. I said, and because you're here with us now, they're working overtime, but they can't stop. So the peddling.
The squirt water crystals.
But you know what? They believed it, And I said, do you want to go to the cavern now? And they said, oh, yes, please. And we all went to the cavern. I think it was a place called Turku in Finland. So that was Oldham, the capital culture. And I'm sure that they've got a 30-foot statue of Elvis. I'm sure of it.
That's fantastic. I come see it.
Elvis. But those two fellas, was peddling to keep the water going because they were there. He said, oh, that's too hard. That's too hard. Why can't you get a fixed? I said, oh, I don't know. That's the council. Another time, I was walking up Lacey Street, and we came to, the Fly in the Ointment?
Yeah.
Right. Well, it was Kirkland's then. And these Americans, I had to take Americans around. And this fella was a loudmouth. He was a loudmouth. He was an awful man. And did you ever see Fawlty Towers, where you see an American and he's like, I want a Waldorf salad? He was giving Fawlty all this. He was just like him. He was horrible. And he said to me, I started off where the castle was. I said, we knocked it down in 1724. He said, why did you knock the castle down? I said, I never knocked it down, mate. So anyway, we were walking up, and we was cut to Lacey Street. And he goes, what's that over there? And I said, and I looked up, it's a cracking view. And it's a cobbled street. I always forget the name of the street, but it's a cobbled street. And you see the Anglican Cathedral at the top of it. It's absolutely brilliant. So anyway, he was going on, and he was always shoving me. He was always like this, And I went like that. I said, oh, that's the Anglican Cathedral. I said, take a good look at that. Have you got a camera? And he went, yeah, I'm taking a camera, he's taking photos. And the other people were lovely. And they were taking photos. And I think he was embarrassing them, the other people. And I said, right, have you taken enough photographs? He said, yeah. I said, well, they're pulling it down in 2 weeks' time, the cathedral. And he went, what? I said, yeah, because he was getting on my nerves about the castle. So I said, they're pulling it down in 2 weeks. I said, they're going to build a massive McDonald's. And he, what? Well, to be honest, but by the time he got up to the pub, the Philharmonic pub and the Philharmonic Hall,
Yeah.
I forgot to tell them that I was only joking. And they told Radio Merseyside. They said, why are we knocking down the cathedral? Because they said to me, will you take these Americans around? And I said, I didn't want to take them around. I've done it anyway. Anyway, they said, why are you knocking that big cathedral, big red cathedral down? He said, we're not knocking it down. He said, well, that guy, that Frank fella, he said, you're knocking it down and building a big, McDonald's. He said, I don't take no notice.
There's been posters of you all around town.
Honestly, Anthony, it's been lovely. I've got to end. Position's going,
And Valley, it's been lovely to meet you. It's been lovely to be on, and thank you, Andy and team, for sponsoring the show, because otherwise I wouldn't get to throw my tuppence in. So thank you guys, and all of the wonderful people who tune in.
Thank you. Honestly, it's been a buzz anyway. And it's just for me to say thank you so very much for throwing in your particular comments, being brilliant. I'm sorry that I couldn't read everyone's out, unfortunately, but there was some cracking ones there. I've just got to thank Jason Pennington for producing the show. Got to thank this man.
He is.
Look at that, Anthony, for keeping me company, and this lovely lady, Valley, for keeping me company inside here. So it's just for me to say thank you to Gap Painting Services, who sponsored the Frank Carlyle Show. As I said, if you're at OAP, if you work in the NHS, get these lads in, fully time server lads, fully insured, quick, reliable, and very, very tidy. They're brilliant lads, and that's who sponsor the Frank Carlyle Show, Gap Painting Services. And hopefully, all you football fans out there, I bet JK's still with us, and Gary Rigby and everyone else, join me tomorrow night, and there I am tomorrow night. And I know that Anthony looks in as well, and he won't comment.
If I look in, I'll bring a bag of nuts and a pint for you.
Unless I mention McDonald's and the Anglican Cathedral. So it's just for me to say thank you so much, you people out there. You're the most important, because there'd be no Frank Carlyle Show. You wouldn't be able to see Anthony, and you wouldn't be able to see this lovely creature next to me. And thank you so much. Thank you. I'll see you all. I'll see you all tomorrow night. And for all you historians, I'll see you next Monday. Thank you so much. See you. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you.
So welcome. Thank you.